Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm just doing this video about the Dark Angels Codex and how it itself has evolved over time, and pretty much why it is the way it is as it is now. Not that I'm complaining, I do enjoy it, but in case people are wondering why, I'm going to give my opinions on why I think it is, and they are based on using evidence to support my hypothesis and stuff like that. But first, I'm going to drop some knowledge about the Dark Angels Codex and how it got to where it is now. For the purpose of this video, the first thing we're going to talk about is Codex Angels of Death. Now, this codex, as you see, says Blood Angels and Dark Angels. It's a codex for the two armies. Not together, they have their own parts in the book, so it's essentially a two-part book. One for Blood Angels, one for Dark Angels. It's got special characters for each, painting for each, excuse me, fluff and background for each, and the war gear. This is back in the day of war gear cards and I believe movement characteristic. We have special characters like Azrael, Ezekiel. We had Brother Bethor, who was the standard bearer. We had Sergeant, I don't know if Sergeant Newman's in this one, he was in this one, but anyway. The Grandmaster Saffron of the Chaplains. He leads the chaplaincy essentially. And that's essentially this codex. And then we move on to later editions and Codex Dark Angels. What this is kind of an expansionary codex, meaning it has the rules you need for Dark Angels, but does not have the Space Marine stuff in general in it. To use this codex, you require the Space Marine Codex, the generic vanilla Space Marine Codex as well. So pretty much, you buy stuff using the generic Space Marine Codex, like tactical Marines and vehicles and whatnot, except for where the exceptions are, which make this codex. So for example, your HQs, Deathwing are in here. You use the stat line of stuff that's in here, and then where it says see Codex Space Marines for details, that's and points and whatnot, that's when you use the Codex Space Marine stuff for that. It has its own war gear section, which gives its own unique war gear and any war gear modifiers, such as anything costs any points difference and stuff like that. We have a special scenario, a special mission in the back of this codex, just like most of the old codices had. And special character-wise, we have Asmodai, the badass himself, the interrogator chaplain. The coolest chaplain in my opinion, just because he's Asmodai. We got Sergeant Naaman, who's a scout sergeant upgrade character. Excuse me. And we did not have Brother Bethor or Grandmaster Saffron. We do have Grandmaster the Ravenwing, but he's not named. He's just Master of the Ravenwing on bike or Master of the Ravenwing on land speeder. This is before the jet bike. And we have Azrael and Ezekiel. The thing is, with Azrael and Ezekiel, they only had power armor. They did not have artificer armor. I do not know why. To be honest with you, they're the first Legion, the oldest chapter. They have all the cool old tech and stuff. I don't know why. But their points were a little different, I think, and they work a little bit differently. Some of the work works a little bit differently. This is when we had our three standards, our three sacred standards, that I can talk about in a later video should people want me to. And pretty much, that's pretty much how the Dark Angels existed. An expansion codex requiring the Space Marine Codex. So any change in the Space Marine Codex editions meant, possibility of having different point costs and whatnot that would factor into the Codex Dark Angels. So you had to pay more attention with this, like when a new Space Marine Codex came out, you might have had to change your army list setups, because while this has stayed the same, what you're based off of has changed. Alright, and then towards the end of 4th edition, we have stuff like Codex Elder coming out, and then Codex Dark Angels came out. And they were kind of like the proto-codices for the new style of codex, where you have the army list section in the back with all the points on what can take what, so there's no guesswork anymore, or at least no uncertainty. Then you had the war gear armory section, the hobby section with the paintings, with painted models, I should say, and colored photographs. Then you have like the fluff section displaying all the different unit entries with some fluff and some special rules. And the Dark Angels follow this as well. So you have the beginning, which is all fluff, then you have this Dark Angel special rules part, and then you can go into the unit entries. Special character entries, then the armory, then the modeling section, then the army list, and so on and so forth. This is the Dark Angels fully encompassing codex, meaning everything you need to play Dark Angels codex-wise, is in this codex. You do not need any other codex to play it. This is going along the lines of Games Workshop making codices that are specifically for armies, meaning you do not need other codices to play. This is I support this route, and this is the route they're going with their new codices so far. Remember, this came out, I want to say at least 2 years before the new Space Marine Codex came out. I could be wrong with the time frame, but I think it's at least 2 years before the new Space Marine Codex. Now, I do not know what the developers were thinking at that time, as far as if they had any ideas what they wanted to do exactly with the new Space Marine Codex. When they eventually did it, I think they had some ideas, giving us combat squads and bolt pistol and frag standard for Dark Angels. But anyway, this codex was made while the 4th edition Space Marine Codex was out, meaning company captains, aka company masters, chaplains, and librarians all have weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 5, which is why ours have the same exact thing. Iron Halos were not allowed with Terminator armor, which is why Belial does not have an Iron Halo. At least this is pretty much why I'm saying he doesn't, if they're basing it off that war gear. This is why our Storm Shells work the same way they do. This is why our transport capacity for our Land Raiders are like they are. It's essentially why all of our war gear that works differently than the new Space Marine Codex works like the way it does, because it worked like the Space Marine Codex that came before it. Because that's essentially what you base this off of. Being that the new Space Marine Codex was not out, I'm probably not even on the block right away, if at all. You take the Space Marine Codex, which the Dark Angels were based off of. You take what you need to make the Dark Angel, like tactical squads and all of those squads out there that are not Dark Angel specific. And then you make the Dark Angel specific squads, so the Raven Wing Attack and Support Squadron, the Deathwing Squad, and stuff like that. They reworked our Scouts into elite choices, which is why our Scouts are still weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, because that's how they were in the old Codex, or the old Space Marine Codex. And essentially, you get the idea. So, my opinion on why you have the Dark Angel Codex like it is because of that. Also, special character-wise, you lost Asmodai, you lost Naaman. Naaman, in his fluff, he dies. I forget on which, I think maybe Piscina 4, I forget which planet he dies on, but he dies fighting orcs. He dies completing his mission, essentially. So, and they reference that in his fluff here, so I guess they kind of moved on and said, okay, he's dead, time has progressed, you can't play him anymore. And I agree with that. I do kind of miss Asmodai, he was really cool. We have our Interrogator Chaplains, though. And we do have less psychic powers. We have 3, just like the Blood Angels, I believe. So yeah, it's kind of lame. We don't have any of that, but I'm not complaining. I'm not a big librarian user anyway. But we gained Belial, a named Deathwing character, and a named Ravenwing character, who has a jet bike, so a different war gear, as well as a land speeder, which instead of having an invuln save from jinking, he has 14 armor in the front sides, which is awesome, due to a special shield thing it has. We also got Ezekiel and Azrael having Artificer armor, so now they got say respectable and worthy of the Chief Librarian and the Chapter Master. At least I think so. I know some have power armor, but my point being is he's the first chapter, he should have all the cool stuff. Anyway, as far as his own personal war gear goes. So that's pretty much the Dark Angels Codex, a little bit of a walk down memory lane / history. Also why I believe is the current way it is, which is a balanced codex. I just wanted to explain my opinions on why the codex like it is, and I'm sure I said this before in other videos, but because it was being based off the 4th edition Space Marine Codex, where it uses that war gear and stat line for its stuff. And when the new Space Marine Codex came out, they upped the ante a bit. So eventually, whenever they make the new Dark Angels Codex, whenever that may be, it'll have stat line and stuff similar to the new Space Marine Codex. Probably not Relic Blades, because that's Azrael's thing with his one-handed Relic Blade essentially, which is awesome. Which also Justicars have in Grey Knights. Anything Justicar up has Strength 6 power weapon. Anyway, that's just a little ramble right there, a little tangent. My point being is, the Dark Angels, being that they're based off the Space Marine Codex, whenever they get updated, will use war gear and stat lines similar to the Codex it was based off of. Now when they eventually redo this, they'll probably just based off of this and upgrade to be more in line with how they want Space Marines to apparently be. Anyway, that's my little ramble. I hope you've enjoyed this random video. Until next time, take it easy.